So the next update is planned to bring a full multiplayer experience in No Man's Sky among many other huge features. We've already gotten a pretty good amount of information on that from the interviews, from the blog posts, and the latest from the trailer itself, but it seems that a lot of you are still confused about certain more technical details, such as the number of players that can play together, if online is even mandatory, or if cross-platform will ever happen, of course, among many other things. That's why in today's video I'll cover all of these details and much more, but until then I hope you all sit comfy in your chairs and let's go. Before starting out, and in order to make things easier for you, I'll first start with how multiplayer currently works in the game. In short, multiplayer was first introduced back in 2017 with the Atlas Rises update. Right now it is very basic and the interaction between players is quite limited. You've probably seen videos of this already, but players appear to each other as floating orbs of light and cannot really interact much outside of while creating monuments of their meetup or interacting with other players' bases. Currently the multiplayer is organized in lobbies of up to 16 players. These lobbies are automatically created by the game. It's not something you manually set, for example how you do it in GTA 5, and it's simple. If more than 16 players ever go into one single spot and if they all have online play activated, they will be able to see each other. If more than 16 players would show up, then the game would automatically create lobbies of players and group them into pairs of 16. So if you ever drop in any location, you will only be able to see up to other 15 players around you, you of course being the 16th. This of course only applies to the players themselves, not the items they can place down. For example, you'll be able to see much more than 16 communication stations at any given time. It's just that the players themselves are limited to 16 per lobby, is what I'm trying to say. There's currently no party system in the game and you cannot search nor add someone in your party, but that might change with the next update, and I have a few reasons why, but I'm going to explain them later in the video. Now that we have the basics, I'm going to go over to the second point, which is how multiplayer might turn out to be in Next. So Next promises to bring a full multiplayer experience in No Man's Sky, and if you look at the box cover art for the Xbox One version, it stipulates that multiplayer can be up to 4 players co-op. This is probably where all the confusion must have started. There might be 2 reasons why this is the case and why the box cover art only shows up to 4 player co-op, and one of them may have something to do with the party system that I've just mentioned like a few seconds ago. So both on the No Man's Sky website and in Sean Murray's interview, he repeatedly talks about parties of people and joining friends to do missions together, to fight pirates, to go into expeditions. Then there's also the PS4 blog post from 2 days ago where multiplayer co-op missions is being talked about as a feature, as well as new co-op ships. This might be a reason behind why the Xbox cover points out to 2 to 4 player co-op, possibly hinting towards a party system being developed with the upcoming update. While the interviews and the posts themselves were already hinting towards this for some time, and we did talk about this in previous videos, the really big one here is the multiplayer co-op missions. I don't really see any other way to manage a multiplayer mission. In order to finish one such mission, you obviously need to participate together, and the game must have a way to register all of that. That is why I believe that the 4 player co-op being mentioned on the box cover art implies exactly this. Another possibility that I have seen being mentioned around by others as well, and which makes a lot of sense to me, has to do with the way games are being rated and the details are being put on the site. There are other multiplayer games out there that offer the possibility of many players meeting in-game, but the cover art only ever shows and lists 4 player co-op. I'm not sure why that is the reason. Maybe it's an internal thing that Microsoft does, and it is definitely present to other games that definitely have much more than 4 player co-op. And I've already said this, but 16 player lobbies are a thing in No Man's Sky, so I think this is just something that Microsoft is putting on their website. I'm not really sure why. What does this mean for multiplayer in Next? Well, it means exactly what it looks like. The game will continue to have these lobbies of up to 16 players, unless of course the number is increased, but it might also give players the possibility to form parties. I mean, how would you else do party missions with somebody else unless you could invite them in your session? It's almost like an MMO if you think about it, but at a much lower scale. For example, in your average MMO, there is millions of players out there that you can interact with and meet up with, but parties of people are typically only up to 4 or 5 men at the same time. But even if parties like I've I've speculated, don't make it in next or ever. Just rest assured that you'll be able to see much more than 4 players. Currently it's up to 16, so I hope that at least in this regard I have cleared up a few of the misconceptions that you had. Another concern I see being thrown around, especially by already existing players or folks who simply don't want to PvP, is if online is mandatory. Many seem to be thinking that the game won't be able to deal with griefers, bringing parallels to GTA 5. First of all, let me clear something up. This game is absolutely huge and it contains roughly 255 other galaxies. Even if a massive amount of players right now get into the game, your chance to find any of them at any given time is slim at best. The vastness of space in this game is absolutely ridiculous, and you will actually be happy if you even meet somebody in your adventures. Of course, we have the huge player hubs like the Galactic Hub filled with all sorts of people, and you can indeed travel to those, and the chance of finding griefers and pirates and PvP there is definitely high. But keep in mind this, a lot of these hubs have actually created their own police forces. There are hundreds of players actually taking part in this and just generally protecting their own hubs, so I don't think that PvP is going to be that much of an issue for you there. But you know, the game isn't mandatory online. You don't have to play this game online. You can actually play it offline at all times and only go online when you want to sync with the online database for things such as player bases, for example. In fact, even in the current game, you can go in the settings and you'll be pleased to know that there's a nifty little button over there that you can press on in order to turn off the multiplayer play as well as to turn off or on your voice chat. So the game definitely gives you a lot of tools to avoid online play completely. The game doesn't rely on it. You can always go for a solo adventure, and of course there's also a lot of safe spots in the game itself. You can go on space stations and outposts. So yeah, I don't think online PvP or griefing is going to be an issue for you in the next update, no matter if you're a fresh beginner or you've played the game for some time. Speaking of multiplayer, I'm sure many of you are asking yourselves this question a lot. Will cross-platform be possible with the next update? First of all, let me first start by mentioning the fact that the first 2 platforms that this game was released on, the PC and the PS4, there's no cross-platform at all, nor was it ever even been talked about officially. At the very least, Sony will most probably be very much against any cross-platform play, especially with the Xbox One players, and you know, especially with the Xbox One platform in general, as they are actually competitors. It's not excluded though to happen between PC and the Xbox One players, as this would be just between Hello Games and Microsoft. This is where my hope actually lies. This collaboration between Microsoft and Hello Games would possibly turn out to be a positive for any form of cross-platform play. I'm really hopeful that in the future players on PC and the Xbox One will be able to play together, but I doubt that this will happen with the next update. It's not something you can do overnight. It requires a lot of coding and it's not something so easily implementable, so just keep that in mind. I also want to briefly talk about the possibility of a full progression wipe, and a lot of players seem to be concerned that with the upcoming update all of their progress will be reset or they would need a new game in order to play it. There's no actual indication of this. In fact, it was already confirmed that only the universe will get a reboot, so if you've been here in Alice Rises, you would know this, but basically what a universe reboot means is that all the planets in the galaxies will change, but that's pretty much it. Your progress in the game, everything that you have acquired will be there as well. There's nothing that's gonna change. In fact, the big architecture upgrade happened with Alice Rises, but I've made a video on this that you can go ahead and check out. There's a lot more explained over there. You can go ahead and see it if you want to, you know, just reassure yourself or something like that, but there's definitely a lot of information in it, so I urge you to go ahead and check that one out if you still have concerns about any form of progression wipe. A worrying piece of information that surfaced recently is the fact that in the Microsoft Store, No Man's Sky Next is listed as containing microtransaction. Right off the bat, I'm going to go ahead and say this. This is probably just something that they added like a technicality, much like how they did with the 4-player co-op. Many games out there are mentioned to contain microtransactions, videos on the description page, even though they don't have anything like this. I believe that this has to do with the pre-order bonus, and I think it's just that Microsoft treats pre-orders as microtransactions, and it kind of makes sense. I mean, if that's how they treat it, that's okay, but rest assured that all of these updates are free. Hello Games has repeatedly told us that all of the updates will forever be free, just the base game is what costs money. And this brings us to the last and final point on the list, which is the availability of the digital pre-order on the Xbox One. I am beyond happy to announce to everybody that the digital pre-order for No Man's Sky Next on the Xbox One is finally up. You can go ahead and check it. It was like posted a couple of hours ago, so you can definitely go ahead and buy it. Of course, you can go ahead and buy the physical one if you want to. Just keep in mind that if you want to purchase the physical one, it will most probably reach you later rather than sooner, so I think you're gonna be way safer to just buy the digital one and pre-order it that way. You will get a lot of cool stuff out of it. You can go ahead and check out a video I've made in the past about the pre-orders and everything. So yeah, the only thing that remains right now is for a final reveal in the Waking Titan ARG. Tomorrow on the 20th of July, the final sequence in the Waking Titan ARG will finally be complete. If you don't know what the Waking Titan ARG is, then I've made a nice little video you can go ahead and check out. It explains everything you need to know. Basically, since it's the end of it and since we've got so many reveals from it, this should be the biggest of them all. Probably another feature being hinted towards. The trailer already contained a lot of stuff, but a lot of people, including myself, are expecting a little bit more to be given towards the end of the Waking Titan. So just keep your eyes peeled. There's going to be something cool at the end of it. Probably not as cool as a trailer, but still something significant enough. But this is all the time we have for today, everybody. Hopefully this video has answered some of your concerns. Tell me if there's anything I've missed or should cover. Also, we're soon going to reach 10,000 subscribers if we didn't already by the time this video gets posted, which means that I'm going to have to do a special video, and one of the things that I want to do in the video is a Q&A. So if you guys have any questions for me, add me on Twitter and I can organize it a little bit better if you do it that way. I'm going to try to answer as many questions as possible. I'm going to talk a lot more about stuff that I want to do with this channel, and I've got a lot of surprises for you guys. But this pretty much sums up this video. If you've enjoyed it, a like and a subscribe would be super appreciated. Also, don't forget about the notification bell, and I'll see you guys next time.